You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. My name is Daniel.
I am Clint. Today's episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. Get every single car part your car will ever need. Today's episode, Daniel, I needed to get this out there. It's the full mustache. We'll get to that in a moment. It's the full mustache of auto parts stores. I need to get this out. I need to be the first one out of the gate. Thanks for joining us on YouTube and on podcast, wherever you listen. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Subscribe, follow, give us a listen, download, all the things. Leave us a comment. YouTubers, you're the best. Keep on at it. This is for fans by fans. Okay.
Tell them
not
about
a guru, not an insider at all. So don't come at us when we do fan talk. I'm telling you right now, if you don't like being a fan and instead you like being something else, which I don't know why you watch sports in that case, go somewhere else. If you like being a fan, you've come to literally the best podcast for you to be a fan of UGA. And that is not more important of a time to discuss that fact than tonight's podcast, Daniel. Because
tell them about it.
Because I have been holding back the door so low. I have been pressing everything I can, holding back the door that is the painstaking hatred for UGA basketball. And guess what, y'all? I'm done holding back the door.
No, it's time. It's sometimes you just got to let it wash over you. You've just got to let it all spill over. Some of y'all have been waiting for this episode for a long time. And so I say to you, you're welcome. Some of you have been dreading this episode for a long time. I say to you, just give it a chance. Here's the thing. Can you? You can almost smell it, Clint. It's that new coach smell. You know what I'm trying to say? It's that. Now I know. Listen, Tom Crean coaching. He's coaching a basketball game this very night here in my hometown of Nashville. He's playing the hometown team, the Vanderbilt Commodores, in the first round of the SEC tournament. He is the 14 seed in the SEC tournament. That's the last place team. Do you know why he's the 14th seed? Because he set a record for worst season ever at the University of Georgia. So don't talk to me about an injury. Don't talk to me about this or that or that. We're talking about the worst season ever. Tom Crean, it's time to go. And we're just going to get out ahead of this thing. And we're going to begin talking about, we're done talking about Tom Crean for this podcast. You understand? Done. We would love for Georgia basketball to be good. I don't know if you, the fans, the listeners, I don't know if you would like for Georgia basketball to be good, but you should. Because college basketball is fun. And if you've never been to a game at the Steg when it was rocking, then you haven't experienced everything that the University of Georgia has to offer. And so this is a public service to you. We're going to talk about coaches who may or may not replace Tom Crean. We're going to give a name at the end of this podcast, the name that I think is the most likely candidate to replace Tom Crean. So if you were a betting man,
did you hear that?
If you were a betting man, this is who I would bet on. And we're going to give our takes. We're going to give our thoughts about this particular hire. First, Clint, I want to start more philosophical. Okay?
Yes.
Because college basketball, it's different. It's even different now than it was maybe 2 years ago.
That's right.
Certainly different now than it was 3 going on 4 years ago when Tom Crean was hired. So, what are the most important qualities that a college basketball coach brings to the table that we should be looking for as a program when we're thinking about hiring our next head coach?
Like, here's the deal. College basketball is fun. Daniel, you said college football is fun, but Kirby Smart, if you want to have dinner with Kirby Smart, Daniel, like T's
I
and
would
P's
love
to
to.
you. I would
Oh,
as well, but
yeah.
no, I would as well. But buckle up. It's not going to be an easygoing conversation. Okay. All
This,
right. It's going to be intense all the way through. Right. This goes to 11. He starts at 11, ends at 11. The most important thing for me in a head basketball coach is twofold. One,
okay.
you must at all costs bring a high energy, high paced, fun attitude to the court. I'm talking like even Roy and Coach K and all of those, they were serious. They were fundamentals. All of that was there. I get that. But if you just look at the product on the court, these guys are
Yeah.
having an absolute blast. It is high paced. It's fun. So that's number one. Number
Style of
two,
play. Style
style
of
of
play, number one. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Style of play, number one. Number two, Daniel, to me, if you look at the teams that have success, if you look at the coaches that have success, they implement a system, a standard operating procedure that every single person goes through. And this is not just X's and O's, because you can have different schematics and you have different all of that. This is not just even a cultural shift. This is standard operating procedure on a John Wooden-esque, here's a basketball, here's your shoes, here's a pass, the fundamentals, but every single person buys in and knows their exact place within that system. Okay, Daniel, I need a coach
Yeah.
that knows how to put pieces on a board and pull the strings exactly as need be in order to get the best product possible. Daniel, Tom
Even if
Crean,
it requires you to assign positions to the players, you're saying. Even if you have to go as far as to, you said everyone knows their role on the team.
Mhm.
It feels like Tom Crean at times was going out of his way to make sure that no one knew their role on the team.
No
Like
one, no one
no
knew.
one had an idea of who was supposed to do what.
There's cohesion all the way through. There's this mix. There's spreading the floor. There's getting size. There's getting length. There's getting guys that can drive to the hoop. There's playing defense within a team mentality in which everybody complements the other person. That's how basketball works the best. That's how the skills, because everything's so quick and so movement oriented. You can't have wasted bounce passes. You can't have wasted steps. It needs to be cohesive. So yes, a system in place that everybody knows what's expected of them on both sides of the court. Those are my two big things.
I love that. I'm going to give you my most important things when we come back, and then we're going to jump into who I believe is the most likely candidate to be
Yep.
hired by the University of Georgia this
Some
spring.
of y'all get ready. There's lots of names flying around.
There's a lot of text chain on my phone right now. A lot of people on that text chain not going to love this because it's not.
No.
But a lot of people are going to love it. So we'll talk about it when we come back. But first, Clint's going to tell you about Run Your Pool. Is that right? Are you going to do that? No. No. Let's talk about Built Bar. Built Bar is the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth. Run Your Pool. You know what? Run Your Pool. Just sit down. We'll get to you. We'll get to you in a minute. Built Bar is the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth. No one's firing Built Bar. Built Bar is not underperforming for anyone. Built Bar is not setting any tragic records. It's setting records for being the most delicious protein bar that has ever existed. Built Bar is the protein bar. It tastes like a candy bar. It's high in protein, high in fiber, low in sugar. It's great for whatever eating plan, diet, supplement, regimen you are currently on. Pre-workout, post-workout, on your way home from the gym, on your way to the gym, on your way to pick up the kids. Put it in your desk drawer for that 2 o'clock lull at the office. Whatever you need it for, Built Bar is there. They come in a wide variety of flavors. They come in a wide variety of textures. You can get the ones with the crisp rice in them, so they offer a little bit of crunch. You get the chewy ones. There's some marshmallow flavored ones, or some marshmallow textured ones. All of them found at BuiltBar.com. All of them, when you enter the promo code LOCKEDON15, you get 15% off your first order. That's BuiltBar.com. Go there right now. Enter the promo code LOCKEDON15, and you get 15% at checkout on your entire order. That's Built Bar, the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth.
It's March Madness. I love March Madness. You should love March Madness, which is why you should love and want Georgia basketball to be good. If nothing else, just to enjoy the month of March. That's why you should want it to be good. And right now, Stat Hero is a fantastic place to go. Stat Hero allows you to do this amazing combo in which you mash up fantasy and sports like betting, and they come together in a beautiful way. You make lineups based upon a standard operating procedure. Everybody knows their place. They know the rules. It's not very hard. Stat Hero goes ahead, Tom. Stat Hero puts out a lineup. You put out a lineup that you think you can beat. Take control back from the handicappers that always seem to have the advantage. Stop focusing on the players you know best with a gameplay that doesn't rely on big spreads, long odds, or funky props. Stat Hero gives you the advantage, resulting in the gamers winning 4 times more often. Why? Because Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who or what you're going up against. Again, they tell you who you're going up against in this fantasy online betting. It's fantastic. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/locked-on. Use promo code locked-on for a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/locked-on. Use promo code locked-on for a 100% match. Stathero.com/locked-on. Promo code locked-on. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Daniel, you have the floor. What is important to you in the next head coach?
Well, let's start here. The most important thing, I would argue, and I think you would agree, for an NCAA football coach, the number one thing that if you had to say this is what it's all about, if you get a coach that can only do this one thing, make sure he can do this. You got to be able to pull them recruits, Clint. That's just what you got to be able to do. You have to do it. The players win the games, and if you're trying to compete for championships, you have to be an elite level recruiter. Now, for a long time, college basketball was the exact same way. The most important thing that you could have as a college basketball coach was an elite recruiter. See John Calipari, for example. He's a great basketball coach. Okay, he's a very good basketball coach, but he's not as good of a basketball coach as he is a recruiter. And that was always the reason that his Memphis teams and his Kentucky teams were year after year relevant in college basketball because of his ability to recruit. Now, recruiting is still important, but I no longer think that it's the most important thing about a head basketball coach at a university.
Nope.
And I also think, so I'll get to what I think the most important thing is in a second, but just to finish up on recruiting, I also think recruiting today, and this is something, Tom, if you're listening to the podcast, maybe just take a note. Recruiting today is different than it was a handful of years ago.
Yeah.
Because when you recruit today, you have to recruit 2 places, Clint, not one.
Nope.
Most coaches for history only recruit high school seniors. Okay.
Yep.
Some coaches would recruit high school seniors plus junior college players, like the upper end junior college players. And occasionally you get a good JUCO guy and he'll be fine. But now you have to recruit high school seniors. You got to keep the JUCO in mind, but then you have to recruit the transfer portal.
There it is.
And you have to recruit the transfer portal hard. Let's just go to a case in point. I don't know, pull a name out of my hat. How about John Calipari, who we just talked about? Kentucky, just this is free advice. I think Kentucky's going to win the national championship.
There it is.
I think if you were going to bet on a team to win the national championship, it's Kentucky. Why are they going to win the national championship? Well, they've got some great freshman talent. All right. Ty is great. He's a great guard. He's going to be an NBA player. They've got great freshman talent. But they also have a guy named Oscar Tshiebwe, and he's going to be the national player of the year in college basketball. And he's a transfer from West Virginia. Been over there playing for Bob Huggins, and now he says, I think I want to go somewhere else. And John Calipari immediately goes to recruiting this guy. And that's the reason Kentucky's good this year. You have to be able to recruit the transfer portal. So the next head coach has got to be – he has to be relevant in today's college basketball. And by that, I mean he just has to be aware, not have his head buried in the sand, but he has to be aware of all the things that are required. I think the most important thing, though, because of the transfer portal, the most important thing that an NCAA basketball coach has to have is the ability to develop
Mm.
and sell to players on your team. You have to make the
I
players
like it.
on your team believe that you are making them better. That's the way you get them to stay. Now, Clint, who did Tom Crean make better at the University of Georgia? The only person you could even point to would be Nick Claxton, because
Oh,
Nick
sure.
Claxton was on campus when he got there. But listen, I'm going to argue Nick Claxton probably would have made that jump no matter who the head coach
I was just going to
was.
say, I think Tom Crean was holding him back a little bit. Now seeing Nick
This-
Claxton in the league, I think he was held back.
Who did Tom Crean make better while he was at Georgia? You didn't see it. And guess what? Players know that. They sense that. They feel that. And so they're going to go somewhere where they feel like, A, they have a chance to win, and B, they have an opportunity to get better so that they can pursue their dreams. Developing talent on the roster is the most important thing that a NCAA head coach can do.
I'm going to give you two names, and you tell me if they fit the mold of developing players and getting them better and selling them on something. Does a guy like Tony Bennett or a guy like Jay Wright, what do they do well at Villanova, Daniel, and Virginia? Are they pulling in those recruits, top dog, top billing all the time,
You-
like Calipari?
No, usually the NBA draft might have one name from those schools, might have a couple names from those schools, but you're not just littering the NBA draft lottery with names from Villanova and Virginia. You're going to get talent. You have to get talent to win.
Have to.
Okay?
Have
It's
to.
still a game. But you have to be able to develop that talent and keep that talent around. Now, Georgia fans, I say that intentionally in this segment to set you up for what we're going to talk about in the next segment, because I'm about to come back around and say, if you are a person that doesn't want this person to be hired as the next head coach of Georgia, remember what we just said is the most important thing that person can do.
This feels like it feels like a Georgia Twitter hating on Stetson and wanting another QB instead of the best guy that is going to be out there. It feels like you're setting up us up for another conversation like that, Daniel. I'm excited. Wait for it. But first, want to let you know about Run Your Pool. Daniel, again, March Madness is here.
Oh,
it's upon us.
It's here. It's right here.
It's right
It's
here.
the most wonderful time of the year.
It really is. That means you need to start thinking now about where to put your brackets. And if you haven't thought about
you
that,
have been thinking for weeks about where to put your brackets. But if you're just now doing it, you're scramble mode.
let us save you the time and the energy and the effort. Don't go with usual. Don't go with outdated. Go with the best. And the best is over at runyourpool.com. Has standard brackets. Run Your Pool offers game types like Survivor or Pick X, both fun in their own way. They have options to edit scoring, and they offer more intel to make your picks. All the stuff you won't find over at ESPN or CBS. Clearly, Daniel and I love Run Your Pool. We're talking about them. And like we said, we're running our brackets ourselves over there. There's no truer test than that. If you want to play against us for a shot at money, which you won't because we're going to win it all, like just stop. Just stop. But try to come at us.
Not if I give out all those picks on the podcast. There's a little conflict of interest there.
Daniel, you need to zip that up. Join us at runyourpool.com/lockedon. And while you're there, create your own pool for friends and family. Enter Pure Madness at checkout for $10 off your custom pool. That's runyourpool.com/lockedon. Enter promo code Pure Madness.
RockAuto.com. Also, Clint mentioned in the beginning, the full mustache of auto parts retailers. Why would you go to a standard auto parts store where you are limited in your ability to purchase based on what they have in the back? I don't know if you know anything about the supply chain issues that are happening in the world today. I don't know if you know anything about the availability of, say, everything, mainly car parts in this case. But
all the things.
You don't, when you're trying to fix your car, what you want, Clint, is you want the right part. You understand? Because you're driving this thing around. This is the only thing standing between you and potential disaster. You want the right part, and you want it at a guaranteed, reliably low price. That's why you go to rockauto.com, because they don't just have one little back room or one shelf filled with parts.
No.
They have a vast selection, monstrous warehouses filled with parts, all of which are available to you at the click of a button, all of which can be delivered to your home with ease and convenience, again, at a reliably low price. So go to rockauto.com. In the How Did You Hear About Us section, just type Locked On. That lets them know that we sent you. That way, you are guaranteed to get the exact right part for your car, whatever your car needs, at a reliably low price at rockauto.com.
All right, Daniel. Twitter fight coming. This is Stetson Bennett quarterback talk all over the place.
It shouldn't be that big of a fight, because honestly, more people than not deeply want Jonas Hayes to be the next basketball coach at the University of Georgia.
Deeply.
Jonas Hayes, if you're not aware, if you're not around the program, was an assistant coach under Mark Fox in the previous regime. And we'll talk about what he did at Georgia was instrumental. But go back even further than that, was a player at Georgia. He and his twin brother, Jarvis Hayes, part of some really fun teams at Georgia. And so special place in my heart for Jonas Hayes, because he was in school around the same time I was in school. And so I got to watch those teams quite a bit. Love Jonas Hayes. He has since moved on and is now the associate head coach at Xavier University. One of the most respected assistant coaches in all of college basketball. You talk to anybody, whether it's in college basketball, you talk to anyone around the AAU circuit, around the city of Atlanta, around the state of Georgia, everybody in the basketball game in Georgia knows who Jonas Hayes is, and everyone respects him a great deal. You will never hear anyone say a negative word about this guy. He's a great recruiter. He proved that while he was at Georgia. He's shown that. He's pulling 4-star kids out of Alpharetta and getting them to go to Xavier for no other reason than just Jonas Hayes and the allure of playing for him.
Yes, sir.
But what he does, I think, better than anything, Clint, is he develops big post players. He develops big guys, and really has been instrumental in taking some moderately talented players.
I was going to say marginal, but let's do moderately.
And turning them into all conference players. And that's not me just using that term. I'm talking about literal all conference players. Marcus Thornton, if you recall, was a highly recruited player, but his first few years in Athens, he was a disaster. He couldn't hold on to the basketball. In comes Jonas Hayes, and Marcus Thornton's senior year, he is an all-SEC player. A name that you might be more familiar with if you're a Georgia basketball fan is Yante Maton. Maton, an unheralded 3-star prospect, comes into the University of Georgia, and by the time he leaves, he is one of the all-time statistical leaders in University of Georgia history and one of our favorite Georgia Bulldogs to play in quite some time. All of that is credit to Jonas Hayes. He develops big men. He recruits. The thing that Jonas Hayes does not have, Clint, and this is what you're going to hear if you ask anybody why Georgia should not hire Jonas Hayes. He does not have 1 minute of head coaching experience in college basketball.
There it is.
So I ask you, how important is it for you to have head coaching experience if you're going to be hired by the Georgia Bulldogs to be their next head basketball coach?
And I know everybody's going to come out and say, well, what do we have to lose? We've seen the bottom. We've seen the worst. Tom Crean was head coach, yada, 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 yada. I'm here to tell you, rookie mistakes are a thing that comes in every single industry, no matter what you do. And if I want sustained success, we are at the bottom, but I'm telling you this right now, you don't want to keep going down. You don't want to be a project. It's very important, Daniel. We're at a pinnacle point for Georgia basketball history. It's very important.
I don't disagree with you, but it's hard as a Georgia fan, to not start putting some of the pieces together when say, let me just close your eyes and let me describe someone to
Okay.
you.
Here we go.
They're a Georgia alumnus.
Here we go.
They're one of the most respected assistant coaches in their profession.
All important things.
Uh-huh. They probably could have taken some lesser head coaching jobs, but have stayed, gotten promoted internally at Xavier, promoted to associate head coach. And now they have an opportunity to come home to Athens after many years of absence. And you're telling me, as a Georgia fan, that we shouldn't hire that person because they don't have any head coaching experience. What if I was to tell you I wasn't talking about Jonas Hayes, but
Kirby
I was
Smart.
talking about Kirby Smart? It's tough not to make the comparison.
It's tough not to make the comparison, but here's the difference. The difference was the trajectory of the programs. Mark Richt left a stable foundation
That's absolutely true.
Kirby Smart got to come in with it already laid. Georgia basketball, what foundation do you have? You have none. There's zero there. And I get it. Like Jonas would be able to create his own thing, but he'd be creating his own thing at the time that he's creating it instead of somebody else coming and implementing their system into a new environment. That's two totally different things. Kirby Smart came into a cabinet that was full. Jonas Hayes would be coming into a dearth of scorched earth.
The dearth of scorched earth. If you're a songwriter out there, Clint wants credit when you write that in your song. Just
Weldon Brothers, make a metal band.
Just a little note. Boy, act like the Weldon Brothers don't already have a metal band. The Weldon Brothers are two of the only people still listening at this point in the podcast, 100%. And so we can just have a direct conversation with them. So
are you saying Jonas Hayes should be the name or should not be the name?
There is one person that I would prefer to Jonas Hayes, but Jonas Hayes is my second choice. I would not be upset at all if Georgia hired Jonas Hayes. There is only one name of the reasonable names. So So tomorrow on the podcast, we're going to give you a list of names that you should not even listen to because they're unreasonable or they're dumb. Okay. There are some names that are being floated around by some people who we will not name that are dumb. They're dumb names.
No,
you shouldn't listen to them. But then also tomorrow on the pod, I'm going to give you my number one choice for who I think Georgia should hire. And it's not necessarily a name that you're seeing a ton floated around, but I think you will see it more and more. I would not be upset at all, though, Clint, if Georgia hired Jonas Hayes. I think he would do a great job, and I think he would bring in a great staff, and I think you would see a respectable Georgia basketball team in short order under the leadership of Jonas Hayes. Do I know what the ceiling is for that basketball team? That's where I'm a little bit iffy. But I think you would have a respectable basketball team in short order under Jonas Hayes. And let's be honest, Georgia fans, that's a huge step in the right direction.
It is.
Come back tomorrow. We'll talk more about this. I mean, who's to say? I would say go Dawgs tonight in Nashville, but I mean, honestly, just get it over with. Just
be done.
Just get it over with. All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow.
See ya.